Hey guys, so one thing that I would like to point out, and this is the main technical challenge that I decided to tackle in taking on this project, is that these front wheels actually sit outside of the fenders, and you won't see that in any of the other miniature RC projects, because a lot of them, because of the way that the steering geometry is constructed, they're forced to either have them sit inside, or if they are flush, they're required to usually grind out the material along the front and back of the fender to allow the swing of the tire to not bind with the fender. If you look under here, there's very little material that I've had to grind out from here. From the plastic. I've not touched any of the metal body. So yeah, this was my main goal in taking on this project, was to find a solution to what I thought was a problem. I really like the way that this car, the steering on this car allows the wheels to, and I guess I might as well just show you, allows the wheels to rotate in such a way that they don't disappear into the front and the back of the fender. Let me just turn this on. Whoop. On. There we go. So these wheels actually turn on center. They rotate around the center of the wheel, and these wheels, to be honest, are kind of ugly, and I would like to find a way to accomplish this with the stock, the original wheels, but that's for another project. But yeah, so you can see it's lined up nicely there, and I can go in and out without bumping into any fenders. That twitching at the rear wheel is the gyro doing some weird compensation stuff, because this gyro that I'm using actually also has an influence on the accelerator, where when a vehicle is losing traction around a corner, it'll actually pull back on the accelerator, and if I'm not moving at all, then it actually will sometimes cause the wheels to move in reverse. So yeah, there we go. Hope you like it. So you want to wrap the brass tube with masking tape until you have about 9 to 9.5 millimeters diameter. So this is another wheel that I made, and I just have it wrapped in Scotch tape at the moment. And that is because when I first made this wheel, I didn't have a backing to create this surface. I ended up having to sand this surface flush. So on this one, this is the second one I'm making, hopefully it'll work better if I can use this first wheel to create a backing, and then I'll use this to set the thickness that I want for that wall in the back there to be. I'm going to use thread and wrap it around the axle and add a drop of crazy glue every now and again, or super glue, CA glue, and I'm basically going to wrap thread around inside of there and build it up until it reaches on the outside and basically creates this shape mirrored onto using the tape as a form for the inside of the rim. So I'm hoping to get about a 1mm gap between there. That's how thick I want the side wall of my rim. I'm just gonna hold this thread down with my thumb here, and I'm hoping the Scotch tape will act as like a release agent. And this is a little difficult to do using my phone as my eyes, but then we have some crazy glue in there, or some CA glue in there. I'm just gonna start wrapping this inside of there. Of course it's gonna jump in and out of focus. Alright, so we just wrap, and hoping that that glue is just taking up the space and still wicking onto the thread as it winds. So basically what we're doing is we're creating a composite material with glue instead of resin and thread instead of like carbon fiber, for example. Right, so it looks like we've kind of used up all of the glue there, so I'm going to add a little bit more. Come on. Aim. There we go. And there we go. Adding some more. Just keep a light tension on the string, but not so much that it'll push the other wheel back off. Right, so now that I'm at the top of that space in between there, I'm gonna just cut off this that we started with, so that come on, cut off, so that it doesn't create a lump under the wheel when we start wrapping thread around the flat section. Alright, so I've wrapped up a little bit more on the outside. I'm trying not to go too much wider than a stock Hot Wheels wheel. And now I'm just going to add a little more glue as I go to make sure that all of this is properly saturated. That's the only way you're going to get a proper composite material. Otherwise it'll just kind of flake apart. And I'm just going to keep going for a bit. And trying to keep my wraps relatively even. Focus. Focus. Come on. There we go. And it's just trying to make sure I have no low spots, because if we have high spots we can sand it off. But yeah, like that, a low spot right there. Try to get some in there. And maybe across there, maybe across there. If it goes too wide, we can sand that down as well. So if anyone's wondering, this is just regular 100% polyester sewing thread. I'm not sure if Tex 27 is like a gauge, like a thickness of the thread, but this is just what's regularly available at a store near me, so that's what I got. Also, when you inevitably get cyanacrylate glue on your hands and your skin, I didn't know this, I don't think it's common information, but acetone, which you can get easily at like a pharmacy, will actually clean it off of your skin. So there you go. So I don't have any accelerator, and I was a little impatient, so I just used some tissue paper to accelerate the cure of the glue. For some reason, cotton is very reactive with cyanacrylate, So yeah, I guess I'll just have to sand off that now. So I'm actually now gonna try, here's where we find out whether this Scotch tape helped at all as a release agent. I'm gonna try to twist these parts apart, and ooh, there we go. It did come apart. How awesome. Look at that nice finish. Now I don't need to sand that edge. Cool. Now I'm gonna have to cut off all of this masking tape and then cut out the masking tape that formed the inside of the rim. And yeah, not gonna try to do that on camera. Okay, I lied. I'll try. Oh, wrong direction. Okay, I think I'm down to brass, so I'll stop there and continue with the knife. Right, so that's what we're left with. Now I'm gonna take a little scalpel, a little craft knife, and try to literally cut that tape out. And that I really don't think I'm gonna try to do on camera. Okay, you've convinced me. Oh god, I need to see this with my eyes. Yeah, you can see why this doesn't make sense trying to do this on camera. Alright, so in case it actually helps anyone, this is kind of like the technique that I'm using. Literally just digging tape out, kind of using the edge of the rim as a pivot, as a fulcrum to leverage it out. And I would suggest sharpening your knife, because it ain't easy. See if we can just pull that out. Yeah, torture. Close enough. Maybe a little more. Oh. It's tight. Come on. Go on. So, original Hot Wheels rim. That's how much room you have on the inside compared to new rim. So much room for activities. Let's see how they roll. Not bad. for a little play. So we're just trying to get the same 3mm off of this as we did for the wheel. Got these slots on one side of the tube, and that's gonna give me enough space to fold up the end to make a 90-degree bend for the inside of the wheel hubs.
We belong to no nation and we will fight.
Same thing. Total annihilation in a matter of moments.
Just checking clearance. We just need to fit this inside of there. Fit this inside of there. That's nice. Put that in there. Yeah.
But in the late 60s, you have the media, which is very pro-psychedelic and amazingly positive press for psychedelics, as a miracle cure, as something that's really interesting, suddenly turn on Schedule I drugs beginning in 1970. The research gradually atrophies and dies by the mid-70s, early 70s. But the funding dries up, people are embarrassed to study it.
Alright guys, so because the steering knuckles are offset from the pivot of the wheels, a straight linked arm is not gonna work. I mean, it looks cool, it looks like Ackerman, but there's too much slop in it. There's no way to really reliably control it, so I'm gonna have to come up with I'm guessing some kind of a variation of a cammed or like a push rod setup for each individual side, and then link that back to a servo. Right, so I'm just gonna use some of this brass strip. It's 0.016 of an inch thick, 1/2 inch wide, 36 inches long, and I just kind of sketch this out here. Don't know if you can kind of get an idea of what I plan on doing there. Just gonna have like a little rotating plate that connects to each side individually. Come on, focus. And yeah, see how that goes. It's way too hot. Flux. And I don't have flux. Well, it's gonna be fun to sand. Ooh, we have steering. So these are the horns that come with the micro servo. It's a, I think it's called, it's a Hobbywing Ultra Micro Servo. I can't remember the model number right now. And this is the horn that I'm using. I have actually modified this horn because the internal splines inside of here, when it's fitted to this, does not allow any of these holes to line up exactly vertical above it, so that it, when it throws left or right, the amount of throw will be slightly different because of the arc that it describes. So what I've actually done is drilled a new hole slightly off center, and I've cut this off because that's about the length that I needed for the throw that I'm getting off of the servo, and for how much travel I actually need at this junction right here. And that allows me not to have to fiddle with any settings in my transmitter. It's just a little riser post. Gonna take a little bath in some CA glue, and he's gonna go right into there. Testing, 1, 2, 3. I installed a switch and a charging port. So I have my charger circuit and my charging port. Yeah, so technically it works, but because I have no compliance in the suspension, two opposite corners of the car have more grip than the other two, because my wheels aren't perfectly level, and that causes it to only want to steer to the right, because the left drive wheel has more grip than the right, so it just pushes around the back. And the only way I can see to fix that is to try to give some compliance to the back wheels, because I don't want to affect the steering mechanism. To try to get some compliance in the suspension, I'm just going to try to make up a little spring system. So just using an old spring, I pull this one out kind of straight, and then I use some pliers to kind of bend this shape into the wire. And so if I secure that in the center, then on the sides I should have a little springy action there on either side. just thought I'd give you guys a little bit of a closer look of, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit, of the actual completed steering mechanism in action. I think it looks pretty cool. There's not a lot of slop in there.